All right. Thank you, everyone, for who's here. Just a reminder that I'm asking that you just be present and attentive. We'll try not to take up too much of everybody's time in the evening. It's also really important that people show up on time, and I thank you guys for being here very much. Then we could just kind of shoot through the agenda and, get on with life. So we just need to do a roll call. Do you want to just take that from the screen, or we want to touch base with everyone just briefly?
I can just take it from the screen.
Okay.
Was there any objection?
How do you guys feel about that going forward? Do you just want to take a moment and touch with everyone?
What do you mean?
We can kind of set a precedent for the future.
Like a check-in?
Yeah, a check-in.
Oh.
So why don't we do that? Just to get people, lubed up a little bit. I just spent 2 weeks taking care of my mom, so I'm a little bit sketchy these days. And I'm, keep getting asked about the vaccine, and I have no idea. I'll go ahead and call on Nexus.
Hey everyone. Candidly, I'm kind of just a bit anxious. I've been dealing with some major drama in the DC burner community and folks, and white folks specifically, who've kind of been vilifying me for the past couple of years. It kind of reached a head with hearing that one white woman in her community, and specifically has been messaging random people in our Facebook group to tell them that I bully women and like to extinguish their fires. And one of my fellow regional contacts sent me this 2,400 word email basically telling me that I need to stop punishing people for my pain. And it was just a lot. And simultaneously he posted a vague thing in our Facebook group about when does someone who's hurt get licensed to hurt other people? I'm just that's not what we're talking about with white supremacy, dude. So yeah, it's just kind of really frustrating because I feel like I kind of have this big target on my back, and I'm being blamed for a lot of the tension and conflict our community is experiencing right now. Especially another thing in the email he shared was and because you're so outspoken and you're punishing people who don't get it, other Black people are also speaking up and feeling like they can punish people too who don't get it. I'm so you want me to tone myself down so the other Black people in our community won't be as what? I don't even know. Anyway, anyone who wants to hear more about it, I'm good talking about it now, but I was disassociating a lot over the weekend, playing a lot of video games. Borderlands is amazing. I was just shooting people all weekend, and it felt really good. But I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm here with you all. And Starduster, why don't you go next?
Okay. I've been escaping reality into a couple TV shows. I'm watching The Expanse on Amazon Prime, which is really out there. But no, things are going pretty well. Just I feel like my life is in suspended animation right now for the most part. But I'm trying to keep it real. And for example, last weekend I went out to the homeless encampment in Oakland, under the freeway there, Cobb, or not, Wood Street, I guess is the spot. Railroad territory, and helped. Actually, it was really cool. I went under the, I learned about it through Burners Without Borders. So, spent the day building some water towers for the camp kitchen that they're making. They built out of what you call it, pallets and adobe, adobe over pallets. Basically, it's this construction technique, which is kind of interesting. They have a little healing center. We planted a garden, and I brought a couple plants over that I propagated. So it was kind of a cool day. So it's one way to sort of beat the monotony of sitting at home and not doing a whole lot. So yeah, yeah. Turning it over to Matt.
Yeah, echoing some of the same thoughts. Just feeling, I'm just sick of COVID. I'm tired of being in this house. I want to do something different, but I can't. Yeah, so I had a bit of an off day today. why I was a couple minutes late. But, you know, like just trying to keep perspective and be grateful, even when I'm just feeling blah. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for sharing some great information. And, you know, I appreciate you guys being here and just being open. Do we have consensus that we're approving this agenda? Signal by raising your hand with thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. And then minutes from the previous meeting. Are we approving on those?
Can we pull this up real quick?
Yeah,
just
sure.
for a point of order. We shouldn't be approving something unless we at least
easy breezy.
quickly look at it.
I have it right here. This is it, right? Agenda.
I think it's
post formation. This is it. We talked about formation of a committee for equity, inclusion, and diversity. Formation of the All of Us committee to look at All of Us event 2021. Fundraising, we talked about fundraising, but we tabled it. Bank account information, recruitment, and just covered a few topics. Does anybody need to go over anything on this?
Nope.
All right, we're all good?
Yep.
Approved.
All right, thank you. All right. Well, treasurer report would come about now, but he's not here right at the moment. Let's just roll into community reports. And since we have committee reports, let's get Nexus. Do you have anything on it for us?
No, not, well, okay, let me take that back. I think the only thing I have is like, what kind of permission do I have to kind of just like begin at least preparing some materials for reaching out and like preparing a kind of communal town hall about this effort or whatnot. I don't want to necessarily do things unilaterally, but I also don't want to necessarily over ask for permission. I know Toaster, you and I are going to be talking about this, at least, and anyone else who's invited. So I guess if I might, and honestly, like I said, I was kind of disassociating from most of last week. I kind of just like to schedule a meeting to talk about just that, review some materials, and begin to plan an outreach and a kind of community event would be the next steps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mind, honestly, that kind of do and then ask for forgiveness later for a lot of stuff because, well, I mean, there's a point. There's a point where if you just start publishing stuff out, you know, and saying, I'm burning down the building, you know, that's different. But I think when you have an idea, you should run with it. And as long as it doesn't go outside of the scope of our policies and procedures, especially in communications, you know, does that make sense?
It does, but also, Duster, I want to make sure I receive like your reaction to that in terms of like whatever.
That phrase, that phrase is triggering for me. You know, do something now and apologize later. So if you think you're going to need to apologize later, then I wouldn't do it now. I would pursue the, you know, permissions and what have you, you know, consensus is needed and go from there. But otherwise, if you, I mean, just a little bit tricky philosophy for me.
It's funny to hear you say that, Kurt, because I have a line that that is triggering for me too. It's like, God, what is it? It is give me the benefit of the doubt. That's triggering for me. But I definitely understand where you're coming from but I also trust you guys not to lose your damn minds and go crazy. You know what I mean? Because I think all of you have sense to know. I've never had any cause to see any of you had. We're just going to burn the house down. Does that make sense? So when I say that, it's within the mindset that I know I know Nexus, and I know the rest of you too, have the know how to work within this community and not, you know, burn the house down, if that makes sense.
Well, I'd like to propose then taking this month to plan for a March kind of invitation, engagement, information event. I think part of that is also like not to rush an event this month regarding DEI, but also the chance that people might think that, well, it's Black History Month, so that's why they're doing it. And I'd rather move at the speed of trust. So I think what I might do is kind of prep some materials, have a kind of planning meeting sometime in the middle of the month for anyone else involved, and then prepare something to present at next, our March board meeting for any kind of folks who'd be interested in helping at least like with finalizing planning for the event itself. So there will be a couple opportunities to check in before anything actually happens, but I also won't, I'll move things along as I can, and we'll go from there. We'll see if that works.
Do we have a meeting on the books for that just focuses on DEI right now?
Not yet. So that would be the meeting I'd be planning sometime in the middle of this month.
Okay, and I'm gonna also encourage you guys to, you know, if you want to get together with one or more of us, just go ahead and apply it to the calendar and invite people who you want, or you know, the whole group if you want. The calendar is for all of us. Okay. Do you have anything else, Nexus?
Nope, that's it.
So I'd like to move on to Starduster in regards to events.
So just quickly, I want to make sure I capture the action items. So Nexus, you're going to schedule a meeting like later this month.
Yep.
For DEI.
DEI, it'll be, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, it'll be a combination, like checking about the work in general, but also event planning. So it'll be a bit of a keeper in terms of the primary agenda items.
Okay. Thank you.
Very cool. Starduster.
Yeah, so for all of us, kind of a similar approach as Nexus just described for our events planning. I'm moving forward with a document that is a basic proposal that we'll present to Saratoga Springs eventually, which outlines kind of our philosophy and ethics and priorities in terms of that decision-making process. But in order to finalize that, we kind of need to have more of a discussion about what that is, you know, what our priorities are and how we move forward. So I'm interested in having sort of a all of us discussion meeting for the board, and I guess anyone else who might be interested. So I've tentatively put that on the books for February 14th, Valentine's Day, but 1 p.m. So to, you know, go over our, you know, our decision-making process and how we approach Saratoga Springs, given all these uncertainties. Toaster and I had a discussion about timing and sort of tentatively, gingerly, mindfully moving forward with a date in mind that could be the end of July to move forward, assuming that there's going to be a green light between now and then, but with the understanding that if there's not, you know, we can move it to sometime later in the fall. But just have something a little bit more concrete to move towards as we make these decisions and form subcommittees and so forth, which we can also talk about during that meeting on the 14th. And then just another item would be, you know, we also have discussed smaller campouts, other events that we could, you know, smaller events that we could put together, and we'll just keep looking at opportunities to do that. You know, like, you know, we talked about private campgrounds somewhere, sometime. You know, it's like nothing is in the works right now, but it's something that we're, you know, sort of actively open to. If that makes sense. Scott, are you going to talk about the event that was raised?
Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up was that we seem to be getting some energy from the community as far as people wanting to do events and then work with us to make events happen. Like Scooter Mariner, who lives here in the East Bay, has reached out and said, I've got an idea for a little something, and I'd like to see if Queerburners can help. I don't have much information about it. I'll probably be meeting with him next week. But I'll bring that information back to the table to share with Kurt and everyone over the next month. And then on another subject, I think it's important, especially given the temperature that's going on in the community right now as far as planning an event, is to kind of hold off any announcements about an All of Us 2021 until we know what's going to happen. I think it's important that we put out some kind of statement about Queerburners to the community. I've kind of put a document together. It's just in sketch right now, but I want feedback on it and edits. Basically, it's just it's almost like a policy statement, just where we're at, and that we're being very, we're working very gingerly to make sure that we're not putting the cart before the horse when it comes to event planning and events for get-togethers in the future. I mean, frankly, right now, we're kind of, it's still a mystery of where we're going to actually reach that point where we can have that, because especially the vaccinations were so slow. So if anybody wants to add comments to this or edits, I haven't put it before Wink yet because I worked on it, I think last night or the night before last. So there's that. Does anyone have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think
it's good to keep.
Matt first.
Go ahead, Matt.
That second paragraph, I don't really like it. I think we need to acknowledge that there's risk in having an event right now, and we don't know what the future holds. But I feel like it's also a little dismissive, of the value of gathering together as a community. It's a really fine line. So anyway, yeah.
That's the kind of feedback I really want. You know what I mean? So feel free to make any edits on that. I'm really open to suggestions because I am not the wordsmith. I mean, the feedback I'm getting is if I can write it, someone else is much more comfortable with editing it. So that seems to work. Mm-hmm. And it keeps me from putting my foot in my mouth too. Kurt, you wanted to say something?
No, that's good. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see this, thrown out to the community as it is, but I think there's some interesting points in there that can be elaborated on. And by the way, I did read through that statement from Thunderdome, and I really liked what they talked about in terms of the dimensions they were using to make their decision making. Have you guys seen it, Nexus or Matt? It was really interesting what they decided, how they decided, and they outlined their reasoning very well. So I would like to see something along those lines, maybe not quite as detailed or elaborate, but and certainly not that we're not doing it, but what things we're keeping in mind as we go forward. So I think a lot of that's captured in this statement from Scott. So yeah, I'll take a closer look at it as well.
And there's a reason to be careful about the words that we use, because I'm seeing at least on one Facebook forum for Burning Man Theme Camp organizer message board where one of the queer camps posted their statement, Run Free Camp, and they got blasted about on there, and I had to message the other admins and say, this is crazy that people were just, on them like, voters.
About what though? Like, what was the concern?
They accused them pretty much of just promoting their camp and pontificating a little bit. It was not great.
Okay.
I'd say go take a look at it, Matt, but you've run away from Facebook. Is there anything else on events that I didn't cover or that you need to cover, Kurt? Or
No, that's it for me.
on the next subject of recruitment, I've been trying to get a meeting scheduled, but I wrote up a write-up on it just to get people that are interested in participating on the, involved. And those people that signed up on the nomination form and some people that reached out directly, just to get them together and have an informal chat about participating in the community. But I haven't been able to get a hold of Wink to look at the document, so I haven't sent it out yet. You can see it on the calendar. I'm trying to do it for next Monday, but we'll see what happens. And everyone's invited to come if they want, but let's just see who we can stir up and get some interest from. All right. Anyone have any comments on that? Okay. The Wink's not here. So I wanted to do some official forming of a committee for budget planning that's pretty much already was started in December. But without those people here, I think should table it for another meeting. Are we agreed? Okay.
The communications?
No, that would be number 7.
Okay. I want to talk about D.
Okay. Go ahead.
But
yes.
did you skip that intentionally or?
No, I just saw Wink's name and he wasn't here. And Joel was supposed to be here to talk about that too. So without them here, I was kind of skipping, but I forgot that you had an interest in that too. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
So I guess we don't have anyone here to talk about discourse.
Jesus. My screen. I just went to the link and I've got 404 not found.
Is it spelled right? Participate spelled wrong.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, huh? Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
So I don't have any context as to why we're or who wanted to use discourse. I actually suggested Discord, which is easily confused. So maybe that's the confusion. Discord is a chat server basically, and anyway, it's something that a lot of gaming communities and lately a lot of other communities have moved to that and off of Facebook. Really, the discourse is a forum, and I use it in another organization, and it's fine for kind of more like general announcements and discussion, but I don't know that this is really what I was looking for in terms of like a more rapid way to communicate and ask questions and just share ideas and connect in between meetings and try to be there for each other during COVID.
Yeah, I know that I think this is something that Wink and Joel came up with and just kind of ran with. When you said Discord, I thought that was the same as discourse, so I just kind of
I'm so glad you said that because I thought I was just hearing it wrong at first, and then I was like, oh, maybe I just heard it wrong to begin with. So thank you so much, because I realized that I thought what you were suggesting what you just did, and when I saw this, I was just like, maybe I wasn't paying attention. So
Question.
Go. Yes, Kurt.
How is discourse different from Discord? And I've heard people talk about moving to MeWe as a forum for communications, and I don't know anything about it. So is that another similar platform?
So Cord is it's the little I've used it, it seems like it's a more fun version of Slack. It just feels like more organic and more community focused. Have you used Slack, Starduster?
I have not. No, I haven't used it.
Okay.
I may have been there to get to something, but I don't think I'm not really intimately familiar at all.
Yeah, you can just create channels and have discussions. It's really easy to like paste links to videos. I think you can like record audio. So some people just talk back and forth using like audio clips, if I remember correctly. It has pretty structured like admin roles. So it's like IRC back in the day. Like if someone comes in and starts trolling, like you can kick ban them and all that good stuff. So it's a little more immediate communication versus like email, or this is really a forum. Like this is the old school like internet forum where you can post questions, reply to threads, and it's a little updated. It's easier to use than the old school forums because like you can get email updates and follow certain threads. But like maybe we could use both, like Discourse and Discord or Slack or something else. But I still think we need like a community gathering spot, like whatever that is, whatever tool that is, in the internet, in the virtual land, especially during COVID.
Do you think that this is the answer, or do you think we still should keep exploring?
Like this is good for like a FAQ or something, you know, like, hey, what the heck is Queerburners? Like, will the burn happen? Like some of these topics are great. And people can like comment here, but then we can have a separate, like, again, it's very similar to Slack in that we just kind of have our separate organization set up where we can chat on Discord or Slack or some other service. And you know, like the board.
More media, more live? Is
Exactly.
the difference that it's more live, like you're just interacting? I mean, I'm really understanding. Besides you said it's more like a newer version, or I don't know, maybe more robust. But is it the immediacy of it that's different, really? Like, are you like texting each other rather than emailing? Is that the essence of it, sort of? Is it basically all take place on that platform?
Yeah, it's like you can have multiple group text chats, if you will. So like we could have one that's just for the board, and I could ping like you, like, hey Kurt, when are you going to schedule that meeting? Like, did I miss it? Or like, am I just not seeing it on my calendar? And you know, people could just say like, hey, I'm having a rough day. Like, does anyone want to chat? Like, you know, I mean, it could be anywhere from like formal business to more just general community building kinds of topics. Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of what I appreciate that too is like that, as opposed to like what we see with Discourse, is it has the opportunity for like these evergreen kind of chats and engagements that, like you just basically said, people could like plug into, whereas like this one feels like it'd be a little more work to have something, you know, either something like gets posted and then it's just like a really old topic that people keep replying to that's kind of competing with newer ones, versus something that's just like, here's what to do if you like want to talk about this or this or this, kind of different rooms rather than, I don't know if any of that makes sense.
Yeah. What about MeWe? Yeah. Does it have any of those functions that you guys are talking about? I've heard people talking about MeWe quite a bit.
So I used MeWe a little bit when it first came out, and it seemed like a stripped down Facebook alternative. It did seem better in terms of like privacy policy and whatnot, but I didn't explore like the group features enough to really know if that would work for us. But that's something we could look at. Like I'm open-minded. I'm tool agnostic in terms of like what we decide to use.
Well,
and so
maybe we can get you back at the next communications meeting. That would be really helpful.
Sure. Yeah, and I put the link in the chat if you want to check out Discord. You can sign up; it's free, and like join various Discord chat servers. Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's really good feedback. Anybody else have any comments on this before we move on?
Just thank you for letting me know that I was in a
Well, I didn't know. I'd gotten them confused until Matt just clarified. So,
I mean, I had no idea that there was something called discourse to begin with. So I was just like, oh.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't either until this other organization that I that I founded started using it. And I thought they were going to get on Discord, and then they sent me this link, and I'm like, what is this? This is weird.
So most of the next topics really, I mean, with the exception of the calendar that I put information in here, hopefully that, you know, as it stands today, this is our calendar, but the communications team is actually working on setting up a Google account nonprofit. I think Nexus was there at that meeting and helped out a little bit on that. And we'll get all those files moved over to that area at some point. But I think when it comes to like a lot of these other subjects where we talk about new committees and archiving old information, with the website without the communications team here, and banking without our financial officer, I think we need to table that for another day. Are we in agreement on that, or do we? I see Matt thinking.
Can we just go through these one by one?
Sure.
Just quickly.
So the first one that I was looking to table was new committees. I think we should wait until the people that would be involved with that are here, Sarah and Nick at this time. I mean, I've been participating in a lot of these groups, but I don't speak for them.
Okay. So yeah, I think number 7, we can table. Any concerns? I'm sorry, I'm putting my clerk, or what is it? What the heck am I? Am I the clerk?
Secretary, clerk, yeah.
Secretary, yeah. I'm putting on my secretary hat. Like, just want to make sure we're all good with tabling these.
We're all good. Signal with a hand, please. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. And then the next one?
The next one is archiving and purging pre-formation documents and stuff. Or just archiving it somehow, just cleaning up that stuff. I'm not sure we really need all those old videos. There's some of them that might be just good to keep around. But I think I need a more detailed discussion with people, as more people on the board, in order to pursue that. Do we agree? So we'll table that. Matt, okay. You're okay. And then the calendar issue, we talked about that kind of already, but here is some stuff, hopefully that makes it easier for you guys to find it. There's a link to it, how to find it on your computer when you're just looking for it, and then how to add it to your current calendar. So there's some options here. And then any of you should be able to access it, because I signed it up. Each of you have an email connection to that as well. Well, there was a document that was published about the 501c3, moving on to the website subject. I put out an email to everyone asking people to look at it, because I want to put a picture of everyone on there, as the current makeup of the board, and just the name and title. And I just want everybody on board before that happens.
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Can you put the link here, and then let's have an action item for each of the board members to at least review before the next meeting, and then if there are any questions or concerns, we can raise those in the next meeting. Is that?
Yeah. So
Are
here's.
we good with that?
I'm going to paste in the link. Okay, hold on. Here, I'll do it here. There you go.
Thanks.
Do you mind if I really like how, so I'm on the board of Dance Place here in DC, and I like how they did kind of the board page with photos, but also included a linked bio for people to learn more about each person. And I'm not saying we need to do exactly that, but I'd love to consider something similar, which you might already be thinking about in terms of a bio.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you like something contained in the website or a link to like a Facebook page? Is that?
Nope, the website. Because it also helps with search engine optimization too, and gives another link.
Okay. That's a neat idea. I like that. Can we look at that as something that we can explore as an action item?
Yeah, can you repeat that once? Sorry, I was
Sure.
distracted typing up action items.
I can put the link in the thing too that I shared. It's not just including kind of board photos on whatever board page there might be, but also including a bio, clickable bio for each individual board member as its own kind of URL on the website.
Cool.
And do you mind if I just add it into the notes, the link?
Go for it.
For example. Cool.
And also, just where you have 501c3, that's the document, that's the one that has our titles and just who the board members are?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
what that was?
Yes, sir.
You just made the link. So it's not clear, I don't think, what's in that document. I would guess that that's a 501c3. I would think that was some sort of, one of our filing papers or something like that.
Well, I mean,
it's like an intro to the board kind of thing or something like that.
Yeah, so you can, it's on the screen or you can go to it as well. This is just the edited document.
Yeah, no, I see what the document is, but that title, I wouldn't necessarily click on that link because I would have guessed that was just one of our filing papers or something. Like, what does that 501c3 mean? It's actually an introduction of the board members and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's just this is the company, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay. Any questions on that? And feel free to edit and comment. That's the great thing about Google Docs is that we can all take a piece of that pie and smack it around a little bit.
Thanks, Matt. That's perfect. That looks good.
And then, are we ready to move on to the last subject? And then banking, that is definitely a Nick item. I'm not sure exactly where we're at with banking. Do you want to touch on that, Matt, or?
Yeah, that's me. So I think it's been long enough that I need to call Redwood. So after we submitted the application, they sent me a form email with a link to upload additional documentation, which I did the next day or the next business day. And then they said they would be in touch within a couple days and I haven't heard anything. So I will take an action item to follow up with them this week.
Great.
So then are you done?
Yes.
So I have a question in process, and I'm relying on you guys because you would know the answer to this better than I would. Because we are about half here, does that mean that we don't really qualify? Does that mean that we haven't qualified to have a full meeting this month?
We need a quorum, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. And is
50% plus one?
Right, which we are. It's the simple majority. I think, yeah, that's my understanding. Anyone else?
How many voting board members do we have? 7?
I believe it was 7.
So yeah, so 4 is the minimum we need
plus
to
1.
be quorum.
What's that?
So 4 would be the minimum we would need in order to qualify as a
Okay.
a valid, like if we needed to vote for something or to, yeah.
I appreciate you guys educating me on that point. It's still a big learning curve for me on this.
Yeah, and I think what Stardust just said too, in terms of like making sure any voting is legitimate. I'm not sure that's as hard and fast a rule if we're just discussing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm also like, I'm a little fuzzy on that, so I can certainly like try to like figure out more what the line is. But just I appreciate what Kurt said, and I think that it was just ringing a bell.
Yeah, it may not be what I said may not be accurate, but it's a concern. It's getting there.
Can you state that one more time? Just Starduster, about your statement, just so I make sure I heard you right.
Well, you asked if we have a legitimate meeting, I believe, right? Like,
yes.
Does this count? And I think in order to do that, we need, I believe it's a quorum present, which is equivalent to the simple majority, I think, which would be 50% plus one.
Okay. I did hear you.
Which out of we have 7 members.
I did hear you correctly, and I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly. And thank you both for clarifying that. Well, hello, Wink.
Hello.
Wink.
We were actually getting to the point of wrapping up, but let me get Matt back on here. Did you want to step into this, or?
I just get off the phone, so I'm like a little dazed, but so I'm just jumping in.
All right. Well, we went through this and we tabled a bunch of stuff for our next meeting. One of the areas that we talked a lot about that would have affected our conversations with you is the communications area and the difference between discourse and discord. We learned something today, that there were 2 different things. And I had suggested that the people that wanted to have more input on that would join us at our next communications meeting. Because there are some feelings and some ideas that are on the table that I think would make a difference.
Sure.
There's a couple documents I'm waiting for feedback on. So the 501c3 document, we're waiting for a review. I did a bunch of edits. I think you've made some edits, and I see Joel made some edits. But everybody wants to look at that. And there was an idea brought to the table about creating profiles that would link to each member. That would also possibly help our search engine placement, I believe is what he said. So there was a suggestion on that. And again, that could come out of the communications team meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the document for the COVID letter that I started. I'd like you to take a look at and help do some wordsmithing on it. And then there was one other document that I've been trying to reach you about, and that is this meeting link here.
I'm just curious, and I apologize for jumping in late. The reason we would take a position on COVID?
Well, let's look at the document first. It's just making a statement that we're not going to run towards an all of us event until we're safe and ready and the community is ready and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's for all of us. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, got it.
I mean, it's just us telling the community that we have their welfare in mind, and we're not going to do anything unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then just some of the committee reports are basically people are going to start scheduling meetings. We have a communications meeting already scheduled for next weekend, I think. So.
Can I for Wink, basically, we just had a conversation about Discord versus discourse, and I just wanted to know if you had you and
Joel.
Sorry,
Joel,
thank you. If you guys had a conversation about those two different platforms and how you
let me just. I mean, Joel recommended one, and he sort of beta assembled it for anyone to look at. And let me see if I can find the link.
Participate.queerburners.org. Is that what you're looking for?
Oh yeah, but does it tell you what platform it is? That's what I'm.
I think Matt's familiar with this. He was talking.
This is Discourse.
Okay, so that I mean, that's all Joel proposed to me.
Okay.
I think he did his sort of research and just came up with that was the one that looked best to him. So I think, and that's Discourse, the one that Participate is on?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say Discord, which I think I've used with other people, with other groups. I feel like wasn't as easy. So, but I mean, we can talk about that with Joel.
Yeah. I just wanted to get just a feel for that conversation if you had any strong feelings about it. So that's awesome.
But my only feeling is that the one that's set up right now on Participate seemed, to me pretty easy to use and did what we had asked for. From what I recall of Discord, like I found that, or what I remember of it was that it wasn't as easy to use. So.
If I could, I just want to reflect clarification now, but I also just want to name some confusion I heard and experience, especially like Matt earlier had mentioned, kind of stating Discord earlier in a meeting, which I thought I heard. And when I attended the communications meeting and saw that was Discourse, I had actually thought I just heard wrong. So I just want to note that at some point, one thing was mentioned in the meeting, something else happened, and now we're at Discourse. And not that anyone did anything wrong, right? But I think there was something lost in this game of telephone between meetings and setting things up, because I think there were points made about Discord specifically. And Wink, you also just made points about Discourse, but I don't think we ever had a conversation to actually collectively compare the two. So I think this is just the opportunity to do that. Is that resonating with anyone else?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were two different things we've been talking about the whole time.
It's just a miscommunication. And again, like, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Like they're just very different tools. So yeah, I think that probably the right place to talk about this is in the communications meeting. And we can put some options out there, and we can even test a few if we want, and then decide what tool or tools we want to use. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. I'll ping Joel to give him a chance to just like gather thoughts before Sunday. So
could I yes and that? I wonder, and this is just like possibly opening a can of worms, right? But what a great opportunity to possibly like invite maybe not our whole community, but select members to beta test and what they think about both platforms to help inform this conversation. Because I would just be concerned, yes, it might be more work, but I think it'd be a great way to model and practice how we sustainably, but also like manageably get community feedback on decisions like this, rather than building the thing and then being like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I think we could do it, and I think this would be a great opportunity to do.
The only thing I think we could talk about on Sunday is Joel as the sort of manager of our tech side. I know one of the goals was that the platform, whatever it was, would look like you were still on the web page, that you hadn't left the Queerburners site, you were just on a different page of the Queerburners site. And the way it's set up right now, it sort of has a similar feel. And so when I've used Discord, I don't know that it can be customized in the same way. And Matt, maybe you know, I don't know. So
I'm sorry to interrupt. But I know Kurt's got a question.
Okay.
This conversation should probably continue on Sunday.
Okay.
Kurt, did you want to jump in real quick before we start shutting down?
Yeah, I just wanted to yes and as well. I think this is a great opportunity also to acknowledge that Joel did a lot of work on this, and he took the ball and ran with it, and we want to definitely encourage that. So this is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the meeting with the, no forgiveness necessary, but I'd like to just honor what he's done, and just because he's done a lot of work on it, and we may end up having a greater discussion that sort of takes a couple of steps back. And I don't want him to feel like we don't, recognize his work and his enthusiasm to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next meeting would be fall on the calendar for March 1st. Why is that still there? If we're all in agreement for that.
Is that Monday, March 1st?
Monday, March 1st.
Yep.
Same time?
Same time, yeah. Is that agreeable with everyone? Is that a problem? I mean, because we had a problem getting people showing up today.
Well, I'll just, because it's a work day for me, I have to finish work. And I think we moved it forward for the East Coast. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's the only, I'll do my best, but it is, I'm getting done with calls. So it's happened today. So.
Yeah, I don't want anybody coming stressed out or trying to rush or anything like that, but we are trying to accommodate people in other parts of the world as much as we can.
Sure. I would like to note that we can definitely start later too. I mean, I've been on Comfort and Joy meetings that have gone until 1 or 2 in the morning for me. So like even starting at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock would be fine. I know I'm not the only East Coaster, I don't think.
No,
but
it's Sarah's, I think she's either Central or Eastern. I'm not sure. I don't know where Indianapolis falls on the map.
But yeah, I mean, I have more flexibility with my bedtime than Wink does with his work.
I appreciate that. So are we saying then we want to move it to 7 p.m. Pacific for a 10 p.m. Eastern Standard?
I will try harder. I know we were trying to accommodate Sarah, so I would, in an effort to include Sarah, I'll do better. So, so I would say 6 to 7, in recognition of 2 coasts is, and everything in between. So
okay, so we're staying at 6 o'clock then.
Yeah.
Could we check in with Sarah though, because Sarah did not make it, and I'm concerned that part of it is because it's still too early.
Yeah. Okay, I'll reach out to her. Whatever works. Anybody who talks to her, it's fine. All right. So then, if we're good, I'm going to go ahead and close this meeting. And thank you all for being here.
Good job with the timing.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.